Oh, that was some music. I was over here busting a groove with that
I
Quilt
forgot.
techno.
I forgot I didn't have it pulled up, so I real quick pulled it up, and it was pretty happy hoppy at first, right? And then it turned into like an episode of Dateline.
Well, or back when you watched like Unsolved Mysteries and that music kind of always was weird.
Yes, that Robert Stack music. Yes, yes.
Yeah, Maradim's jamming. I was jamming. It was one of those things where we've been turning off our cameras and I couldn't, like, you forget maybe because I'm over here like, and then I was like, is my camera on?
A little more head banging, I guess. Yeah.
Hey, it made me kind of awake because for anyone interested, when Steph and I started our Zoom call tonight, I started it like this.
Yeah.
Like half asleep, last minute running around, so many AQSG things that we have, irons in the fire. of things to get ready and do, and presentations and plans and all the jazz. Speaking of presentations and plans, last minute, for people that have forgotten or anything, if you want to be around to, can you see that?
Uh-huh.
If you want to be around to see the unframing of this patchwork pillowcase that we're doing with Anne Hermes, she will be there with us, as well as other fun people. We're doing that Wednesday at 7 p.m. and probably like a little bit before 7. We'll just all meet at the registration to go to a room. This won't be something that's like out in the hallway. And Anne is going to bring some of her patchwork pillowcases from her collection. We'll have fun things to look at, and
very exciting.
Yes, we'll have fun. So if you want to come to that, like, get a hold of us on the Instagram or the Facebook or our email at quiltnerding@gmail.com, and just let us know that you're going to be coming, so that we don't all of a sudden get like 10 people just being like, hey, we're here for the goods, you know, like that might be kind of weird. So, yeah.
There is a password though.
There's a password. Great. And it's so secret that apparently I don't even know it. All right. We have really cool things to look at tonight. So let's get
I'm so excited.
in. You really should be excited. Okay, let me figure out what I'm doing with my life here. There's so many things. Okay, so the first thing here that we want to look at is just the last few days here. Can we believe August is like over?
We cannot believe this.
That is really scary. So after today, the only other thing you'll get for this week is Stephanie's stream on Tuesday or Thursday on her Cake TV, on her Twitch at 2 p.m. And then it's time to start looking at September.
Also, it's here.
This is a busy schedule. Everybody, don't be scared. This is a very full schedule. The reason it's full is because these red days here are technically kind of blackout days. And that's just days that Steph and I are away at the conference and we don't have any scheduled live streams. That doesn't mean that things couldn't pop up. You should definitely watch the social media accounts. We might, be posting video, photos, things like that. If the mood strikes us, we could maybe hit an Instagram live. Depending on the internet, you just never know. So just make sure you're following us on Facebook and Instagram so you're abreast of that. Now, on Monday the 2nd and Friday the 6th, we have recorded content for you. We took a long afternoon. We recorded 2 videos back to back that will be scheduled to air at 2 p.m. on those days, so that you really don't have to go more than 3 days without any content. Because why would you want to do that? We're going to have ridiculous amounts of fun.
Yeah. I mean, and our egos want you to miss us.
Well, Marodim's like, y'all better have ridiculous amounts of fun on all the red and blacked out days. Now, it's not just fun that we're going to have. So we come back to regular schedule here on the 10th. That is when we have our first day of reading this book, which you will get your assignments for this in those recorded videos. It'll also go up on Instagram. Okay.
Oh, you don't have me on camera. I guess I don't have to hold up my book.
No. Why do we care about you? So we're going to come back on the 10th there at our regular time to do our first book club for Merikay Waldvogel's book. Then Steph has canceled her stream on the 12th because we're going to do a dual stream here and on her Twitch on the 13th. And we're going to tell you all about the shenanigans from all those blacked out days. So we'll have pictures, we'll have video, we'll have all kinds of tea to talk about. you'll want to, yeah, you won't want to miss that one. Yeah, seriously, Martin. So much dish. Yeah, you don't want to miss that one. That's probably one of the most important ones to come to all month long. Then we get into back into our regular scheduled programming. That 18th there, that Needle Night Works, that is going to be all about Mauchline. I just took in a big lot of Mauchline, which are all these pretty sewing containers and things like that. I have some 50 pieces. Obviously, you won't see them all. But it's bananas. You can ask Steph. She's seen most of it.
Yeah, I have, and it's if we didn't even really know. Well, we knew what Mauchline was. We'd seen it. We didn't know it was called Mauchline,
Yeah, like
and
look at this little pink
we've
piece.
learned about it, and yeah, it's interesting stuff.
Yeah, so that'll be that. And that is what is going on in September. So we'll start, Steph has already started posting this calendar on her Twitch stuff and her social media accounts, and I'll start posting it on the Quilt Nerding one. And any other announcements that you want to talk about before I move on to our next thing?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I want to see this show. I want to see this exhibit.
Well, hold on. I've got one more thing here. I have one more thing here. Okay. Our good friend,
Oh,
Ronningen,
of course. Yes.
she has just released this really amazing pattern for this sewing roll. It's so on this side here, you got the antique that she has in her collection. See, that's a lot smaller. And then she has made a reproduction of it here. Isn't this incredible?
It is stunning.
Oh my
And
God. So
I will be making it.
yeah, when I had seen the picture before it went live and showed it to Stephanie and was like, oh my God, look what this is. And Stephanie basically came through my phone and grabbed me by the neck and was like, you let me know the minute it's live. Because I am Stephanie's official like social media life
You're my
coach.
social media minder.
Yeah, her life coach to tell her that there's things like I know I'm getting a little too close. It's getting a little grainy here, but like I have some other pictures, but like look at all this detail. This is just bananas.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, breaking all the
And
laws of physics. Absolutely. Trust me, Martin, I was just as so shocked as you are. This is just
it
so
is English paper piecing, by the way. So if you like English paper piecing, that's what this project is composed of,
I
among
don't
other
I
techniques.
want to like English paper piecing. I just don't think I've tried like once. So
Yeah.
I have some notes here. The antique was obviously the inspiration. The history of the antique, which I'm not going to give you here because it's too juicy to tell you here. You've got to get the pattern to read it. And Steph can attest to that because she has the pattern. It's
Yeah,
all
it's
included in there.
interesting stuff. Yep.
You get to select any buttons or embellishments that you want, like these, she's got these little like bows and buttons here. All of it's hand sewn. It's a great use for your scraps because those pieces are tiny.
They're a little wee. When you stop sharing your screen, I will show what
Okay.
my little fabric strips look like.
And then obviously this is available in digital, or you can get a printed mailed copy if that's what you'd rather. And this is great for people that love travel sewing projects. And let me just show a couple other pictures here. Look at that.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Isn't that pretty? All rolled up like that. Can I, half of me's like, can we talk about the quilt too in the background? Like, yeah, these fabrics, like I don't know. I'm gonna guess these are probably reproduction fabrics, but I'm not entirely
Yeah, I
sure.
think so. Yeah.
But they are delicious
Mhm.
and I love them. Isn't that like the sweetest thing ever?
Yeah.
Are you gonna embroider yours like that?
I'm not sure. I haven't decided yet.
Hey, Carolyn. Carolyn says great for making on the go and then using for making other things on the go. Hey, yeah, I mean,
Yes, indeed.
it's like recycling your go.
Yeah, so I can go from a plastic bag to a nice little sewing pouch.
Yeah, I guess see it's part of my problem is like see how gorgeous her stitches are. Mine aren't that gorgeous. So I
It just takes practice.
so I might need a little help. So Steph, let me stop sharing for a sec so you can show what you've got.
Yeah. So of course I got the PDF. And as you can see, the yellow ink in my printer will not work. So everything I print looks like garbage. So John, hers are all reproductions, like I think probably of the time period. But we know I like rainbows, so these are mine.
How what size are those strips that you have cut to?
They're 1 inch. So let me show. I don't want to discourage anybody, but let me show you the diamonds that are used. Um, they're a little wee, but like you can use. I mean, I don't want to reveal anything about Dawn's pattern, but you can pretty much use your favorite paper piecing technique if you're familiar. So it's really not, you know, it's very easy to at this size to fold the fabric around. You just have to, trim it up. So it's I mean, I know people who haven't tried English paper piecing before kind of like I trust me, by the time you finish a little project like this, you'll be an expert and your stitches will be tiny.
Carolyn said, "Holy bifocals, Batman."
They are tiny. I have good light when I make these things. I'll have my glasses like perched on the end of my nose, like.
Well, and you know what's funny is no matter how tiny the current pattern is, it's still not as tiny as the original antique that she
Yes,
chose.
if you will notice, and I'm sure I haven't talked to Dawn really about the pattern much, other than I was like, "Oh, it's live, gimme." Um, but my guess is she sized the diamonds up a little bit, because I would imagine this to actually do this size might be frustrating for the average stitcher. I personally like that tiny size scares me a little bit. So I, I can't even imagine the fabrics back then. They'd use silks and they used very fine fabrics, so they could go very tiny.
Yeah, Maradim said, "We diamonds indeed. It's like postage stamps."
Yeah, but I mean it's I don't they're diamonds. It's nothing that's like it's not like an applique shape that's really complicated. They're diamonds, and the first few you do will be like they'll look like garbage and then you just keep going.
I was just gonna say, as I'm getting the next thing going, could you grab Dawn's Etsy and put it in the chat? Will of course end up in the description later, but I didn't nab that before to like put in the chat. I feel like the last few days y'all have been so bananas with last minute stuff, because this is also a long trip that you saw. We're basically kind of gone for a week. Other things are just flying by the seat of our pants here. Okay, let me get.
Okay, why the heck is this not letting me?
Are you breaking stuff?
So, why won't it let me go back to the main page of Dot? Here it is. I was gonna do the main page and then the actual listing. She's got two separate listings for it.
There we go. Thank you very much, dear. All right. So this exhibit is at the New England Quilt Museum, our favorite place. And just as a reminder, always do consider donating to the places that we go to do this stuff, because it's a big deal that they let us put this stuff on social media. So because I have this endless, delicious, big pile of things that I get to choose from at New England Quilt Museum, thank you so much, Pam Weeks, for always encouraging me to share. Please do consider donating to them, because without this, you wouldn't get to see these cool things. So this exhibit was really interesting. Normally, well, I say normally, but most often, our permanent collections gallery has the antique stuff. This one's not quite you know, antique, but it has a lot of antique elements in it, which I thought was very, very interesting. So we've got Much Depends on This Quilt, an exhibit honoring those who make quilt making possible. Have you ever wondered about all the people and machines that come into play when a quilt is made? What inventions led to the making of thread, batting, or cloth? Who developed thimble making machines? How many thimbles are manufactured in a day? This almost sounds like an episode of How It Was Made. What is sewing machine research and development working on now? These are the kinds of questions you will think about when you see this exhibit of 10 quilts made by Daphne Harwood. After making over 180 quilts in the past 40 years, Daphne stepped away from her usual work to illuminate history, inventions, people, and materials behind the scenes and taken for granted. In honor of the people who enable her sewing, she made this series of 10 quilts, each documenting a different aspect. The themes include cotton, thread, weaving cloth, dyeing and printing, thimbles, pins and needles, and quilt makers. Daphne Harwood lives in Vancouver, British Columbia, and made this series between 2001 and 2002. She had 2 grandfathers in New England textile trades, as well as 2 uncles. Much of her research for this series was done at the American Textile History Museum in Lowell, Massachusetts, now permanently closed. And the Vancouver Public Library, this was done by Laura Lane, collections manager. So what was I just going to say here? Oh, normally when I'm taking exhibit photos from the Quilt Museum, I do not often include all of the quilts in the exhibit, especially if it's traveling, so that people don't feel like I don't need to go see anything because I've seen it all. This exhibit, however, and oftentimes exhibits in this gallery, I will give you every piece of the exhibit because it's part of the permanent collection. So with that in mind, you're getting everything today. So first, this quilt has tons of writing on it. Now, I'm going to zoom in. We won't necessarily have a chance to read everything on it, but that's one of the reasons why, Steph, I thought you would love this exhibit, because you really like the intersection of writing and quilts.
I do.
Let me
Yep.
just first go to the description on the placard, and then we'll come back to this. So we've got photo transfers, machine quilted, hand-dyed cotton fabric, metallic organza, and hand quilted. And this one is the Much Depends on This Quilt, 2002. But you can even see we've got writing on the side here. Like there's literally writing all over this quilt. Like this photo absolutely won't do it justice. I guess one thing I could potentially do is maybe take a slow motion video of it tomorrow if we wanted a
Oh
little
yeah, that would be cool.
like to put on the on the social media. So I'm pretty sure I took some close up. But yeah, it's everywhere. And we've kind of got like old ads in here on the side. You've got writing all up and down over here.
Wow.
It's like you could stand in front of this quilt forever. So for anyone watching the replay, I will move over this. I'll zoom some more. Oop, sorry, I'm hitting the wrong thing. I will zoom in a little more here. I'll move all over this quilt so that you can pause and read, because it's just going to be too much for us to read here. Okay. So you can pause here for the top. Oop. This is so, it's it's anywhere you touch here. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah.
So we've got the top here, and then pause here for the middle. And then the bottom. I probably am not going to be able to get it good enough. Like you can just see some of the bottom here, like oil paint sticks, printing table. I think that has to do with a lot of the ingredients of things. But you've got here all of these different print ads for things. Okay, that's not super grainy.
That's really good. I love this.
Yeah, I figured you would really like this.
So the text, well, and it's difficult to see because of the ripples in the, in the within
Mm-hmm.
the quilting, but it looks to me like it's her handwriting or it's like a handwriting font. But it looks to me like it's probably her handwriting there in the middle. Is it her handwriting, that tiny, tiny text, or does that look like it's
That looks
like
like printed text to
a
me.
font? Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. Maybe it was she must have made like strips out of um text that have been printed on fabric.
Carolyn's like the laundry queen. It's me. Yeah, it's very part of the issue too is like with some of that ripple, the lighting that the museum has to use sometimes
Hmm.
doesn't always lend itself as well to kind of the angle that you'd be taking the photo at.
It almost doesn't matter. Like it's so hard to light quilts
I know. Yeah.
to show what you want to show properly.
Yeah. I just want to make sure I give people the chance to be able to pause and just kind of look at some of this later. So anybody, watching live here, please come back to the replay because some of this stuff just has way too much writing for us to look at everything in super in depth. But I mean, I thought it was so fascinating that she put all of these ads in here. And this is not the last time you're going to see stuff like this.
Yeah.
This is so ridiculously incredible. And I've never seen a lot of these. And it's funny because Steph and I have been kind of collecting print ads for sewing related stuff to have a show for that because those things are so fascinating the way they used to advertise things. Specialists in textile testing equipment. Who decided
Ah,
like that was a job that they wanted to do? Like it feels so random. Okay. I think I might have a good did I get a no, I did not get it. So now we've got see there's more text. You got text everywhere. Like this person, I feel like Steph needs to be your best friend. And then obviously we've
I
got
like her style for
yeah.
sure.
And we've got more photos from like manuals, it looks like, and things like that. And this is sitting in front of it. So I took this picture first too because both of the placards are right next to each other.
Oh, cool.
Yep, that is a
They,
child sewing
oh
machine.
my, that's a child sewing machine. Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
Yeah, the little pedals. Oh, is it a Wilcox or
So here we have Ideal. It's the brand Ideal. Child's treadle sewing
ideal?
machine, 1895, cast iron and wood. The height of the foot pedal is adjustable up or down to fit the child. This machine is missing the belt and the needle and things. The machine was advertised in the Youth's Companion magazine, December 19, 1895, and the Ladies' Home Journal, also 1895. And that's a
Oh
gift.
my gosh.
And then so you got this other one here. Um, oh, interesting. She didn't name them individually, it looks like. Hmm.
What do you mean?
Like this quilt doesn't have its own name. It still just says much depends on sewing. Well,
Yeah,
much depends on sewing machines. So, well, first one was quilt.
yeah,
Okay, so much depends on
yeah.
sewing machines.
It's
So
a
maybe each
series.
one will be the different.
Hmm. Much depends on something.
Okay, so I'm going.
I can't get over that little tiny sewing machine.
Yeah, it's it probably comes up to just under my hip. That tells you kind
Hmm.
of how I did not take a picture of myself with it for scale. I think I did get a close-up of something on here, but we'll look at these sewing machines first. Um, Maradim covets the child-sized treadle. Yeah, so we've got like house sewing machines here. I love the old like print.
Oh my gosh, Carolyn, it's Sherlock.
Did you just
I knew
notice?
your name. I knew your name sounded familiar.
So this is what happens when people use different names. Here I was
Well,
thinking you were
Twitch has anonymous.
here I was thinking you were a total rando, Sherlock. Oh, we've got this late. I love this photo. Look at that's a real photograph. The thing. Now I think I got yeah, I did. Okay. I was gonna say I know I must have gotten some better photos of a couple of things on here. That's where the child
Oh wow. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, look at them.
1888 photograph of the W.H. Blair house at Huckleberry. Let's see, hold on. Huckleberry near Broken Bow, Nebraska. From the Nebraska State Historical Society, Lincoln. Of course, it's in Lincoln.
Ah.
Because there's nothing else in Nebraska except for Lincoln, you know, where the IQM and American Quilt Study Group is.
Now let's not bust on Lincoln or Nebraska. You don't know.
I love this one. This is so pretty.
Aw,
She is
yeah.
so pretty. She reminds
The
me,
further
she's
sewing
very
machine.
like kind of medieval manuscript looking.
Oh yeah, the way she's kind of bending over their head to the side. Well, she's not really bending at all. She's her head to the side.
Sherlock, Miss Carolyn there says, the quilt rules part of me is rebelling against the raw edges. I won't lie to you.
Yeah. I tend not to like raw edge stuff a whole lot, but in this I'm cutting it some slack because I really like these. I think these are pretty cool quilts.
And then, oh wait, I didn't get into here. Like these little girls hiding under the little
The sewing
machine.
machine. Yeah. Oh my
Rushed.
goodness.
Get another one. I did not.
Much depends on these scissors.
Yeah.
I
Or
wonder
I
what
guess
is that
it
what
would be like cutting implements. We'll see. We'll see.
yeah,
Let's
we'll
see.
see.
Much depends on scissors. Let's go. Photo transfer. Hand quilted cotton polyester blend. Did I do? That's just an overview thing. Okay. I wanted to see if I had gotten some more close ups. So
Oh,
yeah.
there's a seam ripper.
Yeah. So it looks like kind of much depends on sharp things. Yeah, this is one of my many seam rippers. When was this tool invented and what is the story of the invention? How many yards of sewing have I ripped out in my lifetime?
That's a good question.
The rotary cutter is a recent tool for quilt makers. It's used with a self-healing cutting board. Self-healing. They lied to us. Which invention came first, the cutter or the board? Who invented both of these? When did they come on the market? And how many people now own them? Are they used in industry?
Yes, very lots, many. 19, what, 79, 80. I'm assuming that they invented the cutter first and went, oh crap, we need a mat for this.
I believe that Kristen Barris has a paper about rotary cutters, doesn't she?
Does she?
I believe she does.
Yeah, I can't remember. I remember on Quilt Nerd, I remember Mary talked about I don't know if it just came up organically or she had actually we looked at like an Olfa ad or something and we looked it up to find out when and how and all that stuff. And
I
I mean
believe
it's a Japanese product. So
I believe that oh, it's not on there. I believe Kristen is talking about a paper on rotary cutters at seminar.
oh, okay. So maybe it's new. Is it new new research?
It either might be something that's published this year or something that was published last. I don't know. So let's see. How many people handled them in their making and coming to market before I bought them? Oh, I always think about this with antiques. Were they forged or cast? When did this cast sewing scissor shape arise? And then you got kinds of, you know, ads and things for sewing scissors on the side here. Like,
You know, that's actually a really good question. Like, where did the shape of scissors come from? You know, I mean, it shears, you know, that have a thumb hole and a multi-finger hole that are different sizes are different than scissors that just have the two circles. And
I was
yeah.
waiting. I was like, I was like, this can't be here without these scissors.
Stork scissors, yeah.
Oh, and there's her signature there. Yeah, I feel like maybe, assuming she's still with us, I don't know if she is, but if she is, I feel like you guys need to be BFFs. Because, oh, I have scissors like this one. Because this is, you know, right up your alley. I mean, as soon as I saw this, I was like, is this work by Stephanie? Like,
Most of mine now, I like, you know, it's hand. Um, well, there is a Daphne hardwood quilter, but very different style. So I don't know if this is the same
remember,
person.
you're looking in Vancouver. So
Yeah.
this was an overview of the 10 small quilts. So Harwood is a quilt artist who usually works in patchwork and applique to create large-scale works of art. This collection of 10 themed quilts addresses the many facets of the materials, machines, and tools that might be required to create a quilt. She examines and questions historical and contemporary aspects of cotton growing, processing, weaving, and dyeing. Hardwood includes looms, scissors, threads, patches of dyed fabrics, pins and needles, and also leaves us with questions about each project, material, and process. The artist had two uncles and great-grandfathers in the New England textile trade. Earlier grandparents were involved in anti-slavery and women's rights issues before the Civil War era. So next we have this one with all kinds of pin and needle books, which half of me is like, gotta give girlfriend props for working with this. It's a wonder the thing's not covered in blood.
Right?
Like, can you imagine like trying to finagle that? And this one is much depends on pins and needles. I'm sorry, I'm surprised it wasn't like much my hands have been pinned and needled.
Yeah, yeah.
See, did I get a close-up? I did get a close-up here. I'll go back to that original one too. I got a close-up of this though, because look what she's got over
There's a
here.
little strawberry. Ah,
Isn't that cute?
I
But
love
yeah,
it.
she put like the whole thing on here. It's not a photo. Um, it's literally the real deal. How many different materials have been used for making pins and needles? What year was each set of pins or needles made? And yeah, she has that that in the pearl cotton there, like going all the way up around the quilt. I thought that was like the cutest thing. Okay, let me go back to that original big one. Sherlock said early scissors were apparently in the spring variety, staying open. Pivoted scissors were made in the 1700s in England.
Ah, very interesting. Yeah, I have a pair of shears for shearing sheep, I guess, that are
Why?
basically like just because they're basically like they look like salad tongs with the tong parts turned to the side and turned into blades. So you just squeeze them like
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. But I thought you, when I asked you why you had those, I thought you were gonna be like, because you know, like every once in a while, like you have a sheep.
once in a while you have to shear a sheep. Yeah,
Yeah.
you never know.
Like when I called you today and you were busy, you should have been like, I'm sure in the sheep. But you're like, I can't, some of these old pin books, right? Like, so I've got a ton of this stuff, you know, because
Hmm.
like when you're a dealer, you amass a lot of crap. And I can't tell you, like, because oftentimes these books, like you see here, aren't full. They've
Uh-huh.
clearly been used. They're
Yep.
clearly tattered. And, you know, you end up being the loser that reaches your hand into a basket of stuff and goes to pull things out. And you grab that tattered book in just the
Hmm.
right way
Yep.
that you get a nice little kiss.
Yeah, your hand looks like a porcupine.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't see a single drop of blood yet. Trying to sew that stuff on. And like this one here, like that's a pretty good size needle book.
Yeah, I'm having trouble like wrapping my head around how big this is because the strawberry on the corner, there's a strawberry in the top corner too.
Yep.
Those look like if there's a regular strawberry size like that, some of those things are very big.
Let's see, did this have this doesn't have the dimensions on it. So let me think. It's probably like it's not like a huge quilt in terms of the way quilt sizes go. But I'm just trying to think like what could I compare it to? Well, kind of like the standard like depth at least of like a countertop in your kitchen,
Hmm.
you know.
Okay.
Um lengthwise, I'm having a really hard time like quantifying that. Maybe like the length of like a big like office kind of bookcase.
Mm-hmm. Like an IKEA Billy?
Maybe a little bit bigger than that. Like think of more like a antique law office with the
Mm,
glass
okay.
door, like that
Okay.
way. If that's helpful for anyone else's imagination. And it's not just me and Stephanie talk. Okay, so I got that. And then this is in the front. So this sewing machine does not belong to this table. This is just a regular sewing table. And then
Mm-hmm.
they put the machine on top.
Yes. Now
But
that I have one of those.
with the foot pedal?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I have one, but I don't have the foot pedal. Aren't you fancy? Wilcox and
Yep.
Gibbs.
Yeah, I was gonna say
18.
that's why I was asking if that first one was a Wilcox because it's the little that little arm.
Mm-hmm,
That's very indicative of a Wilcox, and there's a couple other brands too that did
mm-hmm.
that. So
I'm not
sorry,
gonna read this whole
I
thing.
digress.
Yeah, I'm not gonna read this whole thing because we have more important things to look up. So just pause here if you want to read. And then here are some things from
Ah, the threading diagram and everything.
mhm. So I'll do a zoom for people here. Let's start
Now,
over
were
here.
these now you're a museum insider. So these things are graphics. Are these part of the education of the exhibit or are they part of the art?
Oop, they're part of the education of the exhibit.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. I'm so over that they didn't want to let me move. All right. Moving on to thimbles here. And right in the middle here is an actual, like, real life thimble. Everything else is a photo. But that thing is bananas. And it's highly detailed. So we've got much depends on thimbles, photo transfer. Did I get a close-up of something? I did. Okay, good. Because there's so
Oh,
many on here. And notice she used different color quilting thread too.
yeah. It's like is it an orange or a hot pink?
Yeah, it's like an orangey, I think. So how many people in all had a hand in the making of this thimble? And when you think, if you ever look at like a thimble guidebook, I guess, for lack of a better way to say it, the variety of thimble design, like the fancy, no, I mean like thimble design like this, yes, large variety right here. But the really like ornate stuff, it's endless. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
how did people have, like, look at this one, like, who had the patience to make, 700 teeny tiny little kinds of thimble designs? It's bananas.
Well, that's the beauty of metalsmithing. You can make things in production depending on the techniques you use.
Yeah,
But
this one almost
yes,
kind of looks like clovers.
yeah, I mean there's probably an endless amount of different kinds of fancy designs from certain periods.
Yeah, let me go back to that big one. Yeah, so you got this guy in the middle here.
And so that is just a plain thimble, right? Like
That is
that's
a
nothing
thimble.
but
Yeah, she's attached to the quilt.
But what I'm saying is it looks like is it like a silver thimble or is it just like one of those plain old I can't tell if it's fancy or not.
It's got like kind of a like a on the bottom here, just kind of like a
A little cord or rope looking thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
then
that's probably a nicer thimble.
mhm.
Somewhere a metalworker stares at 7 million bitty diamonds to make a sewing roll. Indeed. Guilty as charged.
Yeah, this one is
Okay,
just
so it must be, yeah, that must be a silver thimble that she's sewn on there.
yeah, it's like, ooh, I'm going to hurt this viewer. It's like she took everything out of a guidebook
hmm
to put on here.
Well, my guess is, I mean, she sourced a lot of advertisements and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm trying to, I mean, I'm sure I've seen like catalog-y kind of stuff that has thimbles in it. So she very well could have had a like an antique sort resource for these
Oh yeah, no, totally.
images. Yeah.
The way they look
That
though,
man.
the way they're
It's a lot of
displayed,
thimbles.
yeah, the way
And
it's
they do,
displayed, it looks like a guidebook to me. And there's
and
a lot of old.
they're not repeated. They're all different, right?
Yep. They look, well, they appear to me to be all different.
Yeah.
And she certainly could have plenty to choose from for them to be all different, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
You would not run out of options when you're doing thimbles. Where does each live? How much was each paid? Assuming that's the makers of the thimbles.
Yeah. That's what I'm guessing.
Where was the ore processed?
Where was the silver mined? Yeah, I mean, those are all like, if I mean, what a material culture, study
Mhm.
here there are these quilts. Because I
Yeah.
mean, who really thinks about stuff like that?
Nerds like us.
Exactly. I'm feeling a kinship with Daphne even more.
Hmm.
And by the way, as I've tried to look her up, and I can find some like art stuff, but it doesn't. I don't think the social media people I'm finding are her. So, um, it seems like she's still alive. I don't think she's deceased. So, yeah.
All
I
right.
mean,
Well, make a new best friend.
I hope she's out there still making art. I'm gonna have to just keep an eye out and see if I can find more about her.
Yes, Mardim, we shall all nerd together. And also nerd with you. Like oh, I did get another close up here. It's so hard sometimes, especially quilts with text, to decide what to close up on, you know? Um, how many thimble making organizations have existed throughout human history? How many people have owned this thimble before me? I always think about that,
Yeah.
especially when it's a really fancy one. How many thimble
Hmm.
companies are there in the world? And like, look at that, like that, all like that leaf motif.
Yeah.
Even
There's
this
some
one's
pretty
really
things.
fancy here.
Yeah, those are some pretty things. And I mean, you kind of wonder like how many of them are actually meant to be used, really, you know? Because some of those ones that are really heavily encrusted with a lot of fancy stuff, they'd be kind of heavy, I think, to use. Something like this with the real one she's sewn on here, like that's a silver thimble you can use,
Yeah, I was gonna
because
say,
it's
does
not.
that give you a better idea of what it is
Yeah,
than that other picture?
yeah, yeah, I think so. I wonder how she attached it. Is it sewn on?
I
Is
wouldn't
it?
be surprised if she punched a hole or two in it.
Gotcha. Like it made it like a button, like a big button.
Pretty much. Now, if you guys remember from the last time we looked at quilts in this gallery, there
Ooh.
is an antique rope bed that lives in the gallery that
Mhm.
you can get. You can see these white ropes here. That's roping off the bed. So you can get literally right up against it, where in a really fancy schmancy museum, they would have alarms where you couldn't get within 2 feet of the bed. Here, we like to get up close.
Yeah, I've set the alarms off in some museums. I never
I have
touched
two.
anything,
Yeah.
but I leaning over and I'm just like, huh, I wonder what that is. Huh.
Yeah, I've accidentally tripped one with like my leg or something. Yeah, and like the attendants like pounce on you.
Martin's a
Or
sucker for anything with botanical decorations.
you
Yeah, I
know,
hear ya.
Artem, I feel that way about fabric with like leaves and things on them. I don't know why. I'm just like, oh, give me all those leaves. Do I have plants and things in my house? No.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I do appreciate like botanical. I love floral stuff. I love like cabbage roses, like mid-century modern cabbage roses. Oh,
Hmm.
mwah, chef's kiss. But yeah, I think I appreciate that stuff even more so because I have a brown thumb.
Oh my goodness. So Sherlock here has just given you the topic of like your next little kind of, do you guys remember, for people coming from Mary's Quilt Nerds, do you remember when Stephanie made this? Betts was
Yeah, I
an
don't know.
independent hog.
Does anybody remember that?
So, well, I bet you Sherlock might remember it. Ode to Harriet. So, like, Steph, that's going to be the next thing you need to make. You need to make a little quilt here with words on it that says "Quilt Nerds and Blundering International Art Thieves." Yeah, see?
Oh my
Sherlock
goodness.
remembers. Longenberger Botanical Fabrics. That's a thing. Wait, like, you mean the do you mean the fabric that comes inside the Longerberger baskets? Is that what you mean? Or did Longerberger like make
Did
fabric?
they, yeah, did they make fabric? Hey, Marilyn, how are you? Oh my goodness. I haven't seen your name in forever.
Hmm. Wait, yes. Longerberger made fabric. All right, Steph, googly there. Okay.
Yet another thing that I didn't know about.
Oh, she said yes, the basket liners. Okay. Some of them I don't see basket liners. Hi to you too, Marilyn. So look at this. When I go in and I take pictures of things, I don't read ahead. You know, like Mary always used to say, don't read ahead. I don't. I blindly just, people must look at me like I'm the biggest weirdo going around taking pictures of things because I'm like, I don't care what I'm looking at. Picture. And oh, look at that. And picture. Little do they know, like, I'm going to look at these later, but I don't read ahead. I discover it all with you. I just take close-ups of things that look interesting, but I don't actually have any idea what I'm really looking at. So this fabric I thought was very interesting because it again, I don't know what the plaque says, but it seems a nod to the Industrial Revolution because you got kind of a lot of mill stuff here. You got trains.
Yeah, and how interesting that those pictures, very like industrial captain of industry type of stuff is plopped in there in like little pretty little wreaths of flowers and leaves.
Yeah, like the two powers in accord. You got honor to the iron workers. So let us see here what the plaque says. So this is just a complimentary piece. Oh my God, gift of Sharon Waddell. For anyone that doesn't know, Sharon Waddell is the one that is sponsoring, like she's the host. She's the host of this year's AQSG seminar in Tarrytown, New York.
Yeah, that's
So let's see.
awesome. Sharon
Maker,
has some really awesome quilts, I have to
yeah,
say.
well, here we go. We're gonna honor Sharon Waddell. Maker unknown, capital and labor in accord quilt, 1890. Wow. Cotton machine piece hand quilted. This cotton print made in the say that word for me.
Cocheco?
Okay.
Cocheco?
Cochico, maybe Cochico Printworks in Dover, New Hampshire in 1886 includes several scenes presenting an idealized, oh yes,
Uh-huh.
relationship between labor, the man in the apron and rolled up sleeves, and industry, the man in the top hat and coat.
Yes.
According to
It's
Diane
yes.
Fagan Affleck, author of Celebration and Remembrance, the catalog for an exhibit held at the American Textile History Museum. Ooh, I should see if we have that. The textiles reflect the 19th century ideal of technical progress, social harmony, and order in everyday life. Oh, capitalism.
Yeah, we know that's not what was really happening, but yeah, that is, Maradim just said the brown and the orange work well together for the subject of the images. I agree that the colors are so striking. And I don't know, it's in such good condition, right? It appears, and that really, I guess it's like a chocolatey brown. Is that a good brown? Or is that black that faded? It's a good brown, right?
So this cotton on paper. So it looks like this might have been the advertisement for it. This printed furnishing textile shows several scenes, in one of which the forces of capital symbolized by the man in the top hat and the frock coat and labor personified by the man wearing the apron and rolled up sleeves are in accord in presenting an idealized view of life, both at home and at work. The textile reflects the 19th century ideal of technical progress, social harmony, blah, blah. The paper on which workers in the engraving department tallied the time it took to produce this design is marked K of L. While no clear documentary evidence explains the notation, it suggests that the textile may have been produced for the Knights of Labor, the 19th century labor organization headed by Terence Powderly. It's a name, Powderly.
Interesting.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
is
so this is
very
this is
interesting.
at the beginning of the troubles between the worker and the man,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, smart him. I didn't think it was that old either.
Oh yeah, those types of images and themes used in the 1936 World's Fair. Yeah, that reminds me of that kind of stuff too. You know, like those it's those illustrations. I don't know if they're like lithography or what, but
Yeah, and it, you know, the way that it's presented here,
so is it whole cloth or is it pieced?
no, it's pieced because you can see right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. That's not on the other side. So okay. But they're coordinating fabrics, obviously, aren't
Mm-hmm.
they?
I
Yeah.
mean, they at least match. It looks like
Mhm.
maybe yeah, the flowers aren't maybe the same.
Yeah, they are a little different. So yeah. But she could have fooled me.
I'm wondering if, you know, the fabric is kind of like this width, just a little bit extra, and then they
Hmm.
just added another that was a similar type width. Oop.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like this quilt, even though the subject matter may be a little
Well, I mean, but
the captains of industry.
it's in line with the exhibit of being about
Sure.
something
Oh
about it.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But I'm just saying the quilt by itself, I'm kind of like, well, that fabric's just interesting. But
Well,
yeah,
and
I
you,
think
because
overall
I
it's a
was
beautiful
gonna
quilt.
say, like, none of Daphne's quilts would have covered this bed. They're all much smaller. Okay, so got
Right, yeah.
so this is a
Ooh.
quilt you can't get next to because it's on the wall behind the bed. So this is the closest I could get. And actually, I'm kind of bummed now that I took a picture from the angle that I did because I'm only just now noticing this photograph up here. And
Oh.
I would have, and to get close to that, I would have had to be on the other side of the bed. It's not that I can't,
Hmm.
it's just that I didn't. But that tells you again that when I'm taking these photos, I'm trying not to get involved, you know, in what I'm looking at
Hmm.
so that we're looking
Yeah.
together. So I'm pretty darn sure that that's the only picture of this one that I could get because of where it's located. But this one you can tell definitely has handwritten things on it. All these are, you know, kind of look, they almost look like a signature quilt. Let's see, how many pens and needles did she have here? Let me just see what's on the, oop. Oh, so this one is much depends on the quilt maker.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Now I'm kind of bummed that they put that one behind the bed because you can't get close to it. And you feel like
Oh, to
maybe that
read
would
the,
be the one
yeah.
you'd want to get the closest to.
Hmm.
Oh, and Sherlock likes
I
this
like
one a
this one
lot.
too. Yes, I like this one too. This
This
one's really
one
cool.
looks like it potentially was made with like orphan blocks.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. I mean, is that what they appear to be? I mean, you know, I mean, looking at them on the screen, that's what they appear to be to me. But I
Yeah,
mean, this is 2002. She could have, I mean, they were making reproduction fabrics then, so.
could be, but the way some of this looks
Hmm.
pieced, they
It
look like
looks,
orphan
yeah,
blocks.
it looks like orphan blocks because they're all different sizes. And
Well,
I,
and it
not to say that
potentially
she, you know, she could have done that too, but
she
yeah.
could it, but with all the, it almost looks like she might have found this block with all that writing on it
Hmm.
by other quote, like if it was like a signature block or something like that.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
and the way that, you know, some of the technique in piecing and the way things are kind of cut off. I mean, I can investigate this a little harder tomorrow and try to get a little closer if people are interested in me doing that. Oh God, I
Yeah.
love this
This one.
print.
Yeah. I mean, this one, I guess, you know, much depends on the quilt maker. This is about the people who made these things. And I'm thinking they've got to be orphan blocks
They
because
have to.
that's,
Like,
yeah,
what
that's,
is
I'm guessing that's what this is about. This is about the individual people.
what is the story of this quilt top? Was it made for a special occasion? Are the fabrics in this block that were dear to the maker or the user? God, how often do we ask ourselves questions like that when we're looking at quilt
Right?
tops and an unfinished business and things? Let's see, what
Mm-hmm.
at what time of day did she sew? What kind of, what does that say? Like, lighting did she sew by? Yep. Did she have help doing the patch? It looks like it says like patchwork or quilting. See, the only bummer about sometimes when you got words is like when you have them in all different directions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this definitely looks like many, many different hands.
Mm-hmm.
This block
Yeah.
I
And this one,
love.
So Mario Dim says I'm not generally into beige, but this is pretty and calming, and not sterile. Yeah, this has got like a very like the quilts the Japanese quilters make. A lot of
Mm.
times they kind of go with this very calm like pale blues and like kind of earth sort of earth tones, but not earth tones. Like you know, and they feel very low volume fabrics, and they feel very soothing, even if they've got a lot going on.
Let's see,
So I
what
yeah.
were her other daily chores? How big was the house? How much land was there to care for, and did her family have animals? That's to personally to me, that's getting a little bit into the weeds of the questions that you can ask. But let's see, what percentage of North American women made quilts in 1700, 750, 1800, 1850, 1900, 1950, and now? What percentage of people over those years made quilts out of necessity?
Mhm.
How many pins and needles did you have? So if if I can get better photos of this, are we most interested in this block right here with all
Yeah,
the
I mean, I would love to know, like, other than, I mean, I'd like to see more of her passages, but yeah, I'd like to know more about this quilt.
Okay,
Um,
I'm just gonna make myself a little note
oh,
here.
so she says right above the flowers, it says, and I would buy this fabric today.
Right up by
Right
which,
above the flowers.
which flowers are we talking about here? Because there's flowers here. This paisley, like
Yeah, that's a paisley.
oh, it's no. It's a quote
Hmm,
right above the flower. Oh, right here. And I would buy this fabric today.
okay.
Let's
So
see if
then
I
she's
can get.
she's written on there. That's her writing.
Well, it looks like this might be someone else's. And then
Oh,
she wrote
interesting.
down here.
Yeah,
And I would
interesting.
buy this fabric today. So, is it so carefree, lighthearted, and jolly? I think is what it says.
Oh yeah. I do see the word that looks like jolly.
Yeah, lighthearted
Um,
here, carefree.
yeah, it'd be great if you could get like,
Yeah, something
you know.
like this. I see here, like I think Annie
Hmm.
right here. Annie made something. So yeah, this definitely looks like she wrote a little note here on this, like handwritten here from somebody else, and then it looks like she wrote here like all like why all the black and white prints, because these are all looking like black and white prints.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I'll try to get some better
Except
stuff,
for that one fabric that has that pop of orange.
but it's still a black and white print.
Yeah,
There's a
but
little pop of blue right here too.
hmm I mean,
But yeah.
that looks like modern art to me. I love it.
Mhm. Well, and that's why when I went into this exhibit and kind of saw just the generic, like, what are these quilts about? I'm like, well, Steph will like this if no one else does. Okay, so that was,
Now
yeah.
you know our people love the things I love because we're all nerdy weirdos.
So this one is very interesting. Oop, there we go. Hand dyeing. Much depends on dyeing and printing. So this one reminded me of um a where is if you nope, that's not it. If anyone has the Eileen Justine book, or if you do any like kind of fabric dating, each of the
Hmm.
pages, has just like
The
photos,
swatches, yeah.
yeah, swatches of it. And that's exactly well, what this reminded me of. Um, like she's made her own like printed swatch book. Ugh, did I get a better, hold on, did I get a better photo?
Oh, there's teeny
I did.
tiny writing under there.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't even
So here we
realize
go. I
that.
got a better photo. So yeah, she's three-tone dye job, resist bound with dental floss.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, she wrote all over. So it's like making her own like little swatch book, but into a quilt. Hand dyed Procune.
Procyon.
Okay. I would never
It's the
have
dye.
gotten that word.
It's the dye brand. I recognize it.
Okay. For Middle East Quilt Series.
So
Like,
this is stuff she has made, and these are the pieces that were left over, or they're documents of her other quilts, perhaps, or just I guess her dyeing and fabric manipulation.
sure. I it beats me. It to me, I'm like it is just like a big old swatch book. Indian striped cloth, weft green. Favorite fabric. That's so
Ah,
cute. Let's see, did I go any? Ugh. Let's see, modern copy of traditional basket weave pattern, typical half marrying, moiring,
have morning.
morning. Is it morning? Is that an N? I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Color of 1880s. Let me go back. Did I get another? I did. Hand dyed, commercially dyed fabric with zipper stamper pattern.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this looks like different types of like dyeing and fabric coloring that she's played around with, and I guess some of this stuff must have ended up in quilts because that one
Mm-hmm.
she said Middle Eastern quilt. Yeah, Mara Dim says this speaks to me. I agree. This speaks to me
Yeah,
as
like
well.
what a way to kind of keep a scrapbook of your materials,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
things that you've used, which is funny because I feel like a lot of quilters, at least that I know, they do the same thing, but they do it by making a scrap quilt. And then when
Hmm.
you talk to them about their scrap quilt, they'll be like, oh, this right here was a piece of my dress from blah, 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 blah. And this right here was a this, a this, a this. The cool thing though is that this person has written on this.
Hmm.
So at the time that she's no longer around to explain what all of this is, you'll have some reference.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Shibori, Japanese style, dip dyed in indigo willow pattern.
Mm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Very, very involved. I really wish I had this kind of vision for things. So if anybody remembers from the last time I took pictures in this gallery, there is a big board kind of thing that sits slightly, so that we can put either really big or fragile quilts on it that can't hang. I don't think this is one that can't hang. It's just it filled the space. This has signatures all over it. Again, I don't know its significance yet.
What
So
year is it?
Lorraine
Oh.
Hall,
Oh, this is a new one. I was gonna say, gosh, the colors are so vibrant. How old is it? Oh, it's new.
Lorraine Hall, 2000. Yeah, my quilting journey, 2013. In the maker's words, when I took my first quilting class, a classmate asked the teacher for her autograph on a piece of muslin. She gave me one too. This began my autograph collection of local, national, and international people of the quilting world. You won't recognize all of the names, but they have been a part of my journey as a quilter. This quilt contains 113 signatures from Alex Anderson, an internationally known quilt celebrity, to Blanche Young, an author who published many books over many years on traditional patchwork patterns, starting in the 1970s. Richard Cleveland started the Vermont Quilt Festival, now closed, and annually made an award to the quilt entered in the competition that touched his heart. In 2013, he gave his Founders Award to My Quilting Journey, stating that it is a collection of memories of friends, past and present, living and dead. People who taught us and inspire us and made us laugh and made us cry. Ooh, I got goosebumps. Hall died in 2022 after a prolonged battle with cancer. The gift of her quilt is treasured for the memories it invokes for so many of us who have had similar journeys in our shared world of quilting. I feel like there
Wow.
might have been another piece of ephemera that went with this quilt.
Mm. That's very cool. That actually reminds me of something I saw in Temecula that this is, we look and we know, we see these kinds of quilts and we have to research them, the
Mhm.
historical ones. But when you can actually document the story behind a quilt that had so many signatures on it, before the people are all gone and nobody remembers anymore, that's just so cool to me, you
Mhm.
know.
I love
Oh,
I
Sherlock said about that last quilt with the swatches, it's signing not just her name, but her whole oeuvre and process. And I agree.
obligatory shout out to all the youngs. The fabric and quilts I'm dealing with are from my grandmother Young. That's so nice.
Aw.
I focused on this block in particular just because this fabric is incredible. And because this person also drew
A
this like
palm
little
tree.
palm tree. And you know what's funny is one of the, I feel like the last quilt that we looked up at that was on this kind of, for lack of a better word, like a slab, you know, was that other signature quilt that was made, I think it was made out of silk, and it
Okay.
had a lot of those drawings that we thought, because they were so perfect, must have been stamped.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah, I was trying to remember what was the last quilt that y'all had up on that slab. And you're right, because we were like, there's no way somebody drew that with a
Yeah,
pen and ink. And indeed they
and
did.
Barb Garrett was the one who's like, no, those are hand drawn, and we're just like, they're so perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this kind of made me chuckle. I
I
saw
love
that.
that though.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
modern, right?
yeah. I mean, a lot of these, like, I'm not at all sure. Jan something maybe. Looks like
Yeah,
Jan.
I don't know.
Random
And
palm tree is like a peek into the personality of the person behind the signature. Totally.
yeah, totally. Yeah.
I think there's another one too that had, let's see, Sue Nichols, Vermont, Sarah Nephew. I know I got more than one close up of this one because it was so big. This is another one of those quilts that, because of how it's displayed and where it's displayed,
It's ginormous.
you can't get to all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a bummer, but
Oh, Ellie Sienkiewicz.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, she's like the grande dame of Baltimore album quilts.
Oh, Judith.
Yeah, I want to say she was inducted into the Quilters Hall of Fame sometime over the pandemic, I think.
Oh, okay. What do you think? Is this Judith Bailey or Judith Riley? Riley, maybe?
Looks like Riley to me, but my screen is small.
See, I'm pretty sure. I feel like I might have gotten one more because I feel like, no,
Oh, the little sewing machines.
don't
Ah!
worry. Don't worry. We'll go through them. But yeah, so like over up top here, you can't get to, obviously. In this corner,
Mhm.
you can't get to very well. But
Yeah, you need one of those like telescoping things. Like those
well, I mean,
obnoxious like selfie
honestly,
stick.
I just need to be there when the exhibit is coming up or going down, and I can literally touch the quilts.
Yeah.
And get like super, I feel like there had been just like, whoa, stop it. One more, I'll double check tomorrow. I feel like someone else did a really cool drawing there. But yeah, that thing is bananas. And then we have in the case little baby sewing
Oh,
machine.
the little sewing machines. That one on the left is so weird looking. I've never seen one like that.
That's like kind of really tall and skinny.
Yeah, it's like square or rectangular.
And there's even original, like I've seen a lot of people see this original box, but I
Yeah.
haven't
Yeah.
seen these old
Those
original
are old wooden
boxes.
boxes. Yeah. I have the singer on the right. I have one of those. I'm sure it's newer than what's there in the case. It's tan
Yeah,
and it's
I've got
missing,
that.
it's missing some stuff.
Hmm.
They're really hard to find complete because anything that was a child's toy, you know?
Actually, if I thought about it sooner, I should have taken a picture in my sewing room of all of mine up along the ceiling, because I have a lot of these. The
Yeah.
best
I have
time,
about
I will
10 of
tell
them.
you, for anyone that wants to collect those, if they don't work, you can get them pretty inexpensively. So it's a great thing to collect if you don't care if they work and they're just for show.
Hmm.
But some of these, like this one here, still has its like decals in good shape, because a lot of times, oh look, this one says baby. This one like still has this gorgeous
Yeah.
decal.
Yeah. A lot of times they're all beat up and
Yeah.
rusty and looks like these have been carefully
Yeah, let me
restored a little bit or something.
see what
But
the placard says. Miniature and toy sewing machines. Miniature sewing machines were meant to be used in running up long seams and were useful when there was no room for a larger treadle that required floor space. We're not quite sure how many of these machines should be classified as miniature or are children's toys. That is a hard designation. And it just says from the collection.
well,
We don't know who these came from.
Yeah, I mean, I it could be on the box. I realize if it was on the boxes of these, then that we wouldn't have this placard. But I would think that it would be on the box, whether it was a child's thing or not.
Not always. And a lot of times most
Yeah.
people don't have the box. So, you know.
Exactly, right, exactly. Yeah, that's interesting. I can imagine that singer one. I mean, that was marketed as a toy,
Yeah.
but I could imagine somebody just wanting to like crank through, you know, just sewing two panels
Maradim
together.
has that singer one.
Hmm.
Is that right?
Is yours tan martum or is it black?
I have tan and black. I got a picture on the top here. This is glass, so sorry for the glare, but I've never seen these boxes before.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
those
wanted
are
to get in on these boxes. It just kind of says something
autumn
automatic sewing machine.
sewing machine. Huh. Is that the weird square one?
Yeah, that's the one all the way on the left.
Yeah, I'm wondering if like I've never seen anything like that. Oh, who is the man on oh, Mario Dims was black. Where's the man on Facebook that has like he restores sewing machines and he always has like is it Wolfgang's or
Wolfgang's is the big guns.
yes.
He there's a few, but if you were looking to spend real money on museum quality sewing machines, I have a couple from him. He's very nice.
Yeah.
Um,
I
he's
was really more
changed.
just thinking about the window shopping because he's always got so
Oh
much
yeah.
cool stuff.
No,
Yeah.
his social media, it's a Wolfgang Collectibles. His social media is incredible. I mean, we could literally, I mean, if you ever wanted to, guys, we could spend quite a segment of our show looking at his social media. I have met him and I bought some things from him and he is delightful, but he goes all over the country constantly getting stuff. This box is so cool. This is the baby, but even as the baby, it doesn't necessarily say. It says everybody wants a baby practical sewing machine. So this sounds like a miniature based on that.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's confusing because it's called baby. Well, I would think it's a sewing machine for babies.
Yeah. So moving on from that, we get into some more kind of industrialized stuff here. We've got like looms and things, and I believe that's a mill. So this one is much depends on weaving and cloth.
Mm-hmm.
Did I get a close up? I did. So yeah, more printers of how many hours a day did mills run in 1850, 1900, and 1950. Actually, so you know what's interesting? So anyone that ever wanted to come to the New England Quilt Museum, a couple of streets away, there is the only urban national park that is the Boot Cotton Mills Museum, and that is an original mill with an original working loom room. I did at one point go there and grab some video that I
Yeah, I
can
remember that.
pull up again. It's a
So
small
noisy, but
museum.
so cool.
Yeah, it's a small museum, but it is so cool. It's very well done for people that are interested in that kind of stuff. It's a real bummer that we don't still have the American Textile History Museum a couple streets over the other way, because that was just a nice, bing bang boom. I never got to go to it.
Well, that's a shame.
It really is a shame. So you would see card grinders, traverse wheel, top roll saddle, loom shuttle binder. Wow, there's a whole lot going on in this ad. Fred A. Thomas, manufacturer of Thomas adjustable roving guides. I like this texture that she's put in here where
With the
you're
cheesecloth, yeah.
yeah, where you're
Yeah.
kind of seeing
The
what
weave.
yeah, like let's see. Parker Company. Oh, this is Boston. 400 Washington Street in Boston. So let's see. Cloth. Is that cloth shrinking department? It
Maybe.
looks like that's what that says. Iron Bridge.
Yeah, I think there is a
Oh,
cloth shrinking department.
interesting.
Well, that's how you make sure it doesn't shrink after you make something with it. Yeah, pre-shrink it.
Imagine it's
So,
interesting. You need a whole department for that.
can I make a prophecy?
Oh,
The next quilt is much depends on thread.
nah. I like this. Like she put a tape measure through
Oh
the.
yeah. I keep missing stuff like that because it's, yeah. Does the binding have words on it? It looks like the binding has words printed too. Carolyn says before the invention of mercerization. Yeah, maybe. They would have a shrinking department.
Well, God, stop being weird.
Gotta practice your zoom in skills.
I just keep hitting the wrong part of
Oh,
the
goodness.
screen. Yeah, there's words on the binding. Stability. What is it? Tensile
Tensile
strength,
strength. Mm-hmm.
elastic recovery, thread count,
Okay. Yeah.
picks per inch,
Mm-hmm.
selvage, uneven finish. Let's see, what percentage
Yeah.
of all clothing ever worn was made of woven cotton cloth? How about bedding? It's very cool. I wish I want to talk to her.
We'll have to track her down.
Let's see. That was my close up. Oh, I did get another close up. In 1903, Howard Coleman took out a patent for the first mechanical knotter. This revolutionized weaving because broken warping threads could be more quickly fixed, reducing machine downtime. Interesting. Later, he developed a knotter that could change an entire warp once the warp threads had run out. What other clever inventions had a similar huge impact on weaving?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, when you thinking about the Industrial Revolution, I mean, the mechanization that went into the weaving industry, um, I mean, you can just imagine how those types of machines were so complicated, and
Mm-hmm.
then they were able to use that engineering to make other stuff.
Yeah. Hmm. Well, I guess we can skip this one.
Did I spoil it? Because
No.
I was running through it in my head. I'm like, okay, what are all the things you need to make a quilt? We haven't done thread yet.
Yeah, so we've got much depends on thread. The images included are from trade cards distributed by the predecessors of Coates and Clark during the late 1800s. The trademarks appear on the images are owned by Coates and Clark Inc., which are still in business.
But they're not Coates and Clark anymore, right?
Coates and Clark?
I thought Coates and Clark like split. It's not Coates and Clark anymore, I don't think.
Is it just Coates now?
I think it is.
I think it might just be Coates.
Yeah. I'll look that
But
up.
this, when she wrote this, it was 2001.
Right, exactly.
So
That's what I was about to say. Like, this is obviously like, yeah. Um, no, I guess they are still Coates and Clark.
maybe they split, but they left whoever
The
left
name.
the name behind. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
maybe.
thought this was so cool because it is the actual trade cards. So if anybody, do I have a trade card sitting here? If anybody had been watching, I don't, some time ago, I had showed a ton of recent trade cards that I had gotten, out of my shopping. Like I have this one. And then she also put in those little tops from the spools, the thread spools. I don't know. Is that got a special word?
It's just a label, the spool label or something.
Mm-hmm. Who designed the spool stamps? Who invented spool stamping?
Hmm.
Let's see. Where was the cotton for the threads grown? Let's see. Is that all? Okay. How far have these cotton thread fibers traveled since they were grown, and how did these fibers travel? This one's interesting because the way she sewed it, it almost looks like, well, I guess it's a few of them. It almost kind of looks like a card is missing.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that. I guess she's just mirroring those. I guess those would be like the alternate blocks, like in
Mm-hmm.
a traditional quilt. She's just mirroring the quilting.
Yeah, isn't that bananas? Let's see, do I have that? Okay, I did get more. I really liked this one. It's very interesting. It's very dark looking. You know how they're often semi kind of bright.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Let's see, what countries are represented by all the threads in this quilt?
Oh.
Hmm, that is very interesting. Let's see, did I get over here? No, I just got a close up of that. Did I
Is that
get
like a garden in the background? I was trying to figure out like,
what's in the
or,
back here? This
yeah, like what
looks
is
like
it?
a cotton field.
Okay. I was gonna say, is it like a pumpkin
Yeah,
patch? Like
see
what's
this?
happening
I'm
there?
guessing this is cotton.
Yeah, okay. We've got some ethnographic history going on there. That's unfortunate.
And then, the one thing that I love about Victorian trade cards is how many of the advertisements and the photos used and iconography or things have nothing to do
I know, right?
at all with what's being sold.
Like a little girl and a cat. Like, and I guess in this case, a cowboy.
Yeah, like everybody needs to lasso a bull before they can sew a garment. Like, and this, let's see, testing Clark's spool cotton. So, like, is this trying to claim it's really strong and you can lasso a bull with it? Because I really want to watch someone do that and see what happens. I don't think I think it's supposed to, Sherlock, mimic how strong the thread is, but I highly doubt he's like really lassoing a bull with it. But hey, some of these trade cards are hysterical. Some of them also are really scary.
And weird, like very
Like
weird.
like really ginormous baby heads. You remember that one? I should really like
Yeah.
get all, like we should look at like all the
Yeah.
ones I
I
have.
think you guys are onto something about like this is kind of the strength of the thread. It's kind of a
Mm-hmm.
what's the word I'm looking for, that like subliminal messaging.
Yeah, because Sherlock's like, but what if you doubled it over?
Now, you need the
Um,
Coates and Clark button thread, the button and carpet thread.
yeah.
And
And
by
then
the
we got
way, yes, they technically are not the same company anymore, but they still use the name.
hmm.
Yeah.
So we got Willimantic thread here. And look, like everybody is terrified by a scary cat looking at them from a window.
And what does that girl have? Oh, she's got a doll. Okay, she's holding it by
Yeah.
the leg. I was like, what does she have in her hand? Good Lord.
Hmm. And then I think this is the last one. And this one is much depends on cotton.
Ah, cotton. Okay.
Yeah. And we got all kinds of, like photos of the process here. Who manufactures the planters, harvesters, gins, and balers that were used? When did manufactured bats take over from bats carted at home?
Oh, yeah.
Who invented this machinery? Who maintains it?
Actually, I picked up at the book sale at the Schwingfelder History Center. I picked up a book on textile machinery. It was a little booklet I think it might have been a V&A museum booklet or something, but I could probably answer some of her questions with that booklet.
And I, at that same book sale, picked up The
Oh, yes.
Heritage of Cotton.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what's funny is I only grabbed this book, like of course, like the subject matter is interesting, but I only grabbed it because it's a fabric covered book.
It's a very cool book.
And I actually one of our dealer friends, Julia Kelly Houdinis, who I've spent some time with, and you guys have seen some stuff from her on the social media and we've shown on here. She actually gave me an extra copy of this book for you. So, yeah. So when we were talking about what's supposed to go in the Stephanie bag, that just reminded me of something that's supposed to go in the Stephanie bag. So, yeah. How many varieties of cotton are there? And you know what's interesting is this reminds me in in the book that we read, in our legacy book, didn't Tallulah's husband invent a particular kind of cotton that was like
Yes,
impervious to what's that bug?
the boll weevil.
Yeah,
Yes, the weevil. It was supposed to be impervious to the weevil. And yes, he also invented some type of like seed scattering machine.
that's it. And we
Hmm.
decided no, it wasn't seeds, it was manure.
Was it?
I think it was
I know.
manure.
I just remember it was like some type of plow looking thing.
Yeah. Cotton comes
Cotton
in
comes in
natural
natural
colors.
colors.
But yeah, so isn't it interesting when, because remember, like the whole reason that we do kind of the book club thing is to actually read the books we have sitting around in our history arsenal. And isn't it interesting now that we've been reading some of those things, we can answer, or not necessarily answer, but like we can make ties to things like other questions like this. Because yeah, who would have thought that I would remember that Tallulah Bottom's husband invented a special cotton?
Oh, Southern Exposure Seed Company. You can get seeds for green cotton.
Wow, look at your face.
Actually,
You're
you
gonna
know
be
what?
excited.
There is also a brown cotton. So the book Fabric by Victoria Finlay,
Mm-hmm.
not to be confused with Victoria Finlay Wolf. Like I had them confused for a minute. Victoria Finlay is a an author from the UK.
Okay.
But she talked about she went to it's in South America, I think they spin a type of cotton that's like a brown cotton, and it's very, very different than like the long staple Egyptian cotton that, we are, think is the best, the superior cotton.
Interesting.
So yeah, there's lots of like it's what is it, like heritage or heirloom cotton.
Hmm. This one we've got here, like, who invented the carding machinery used in making quilt bats? Oop, why did that zoom out? I didn't do anything. Um, how many yards for 45-inch broadcloth can be made from a high density bale? I mean, somewhere there
Oh,
are people that know the answers to these questions.
yeah, that's an
What
interesting question.
what percentage of clothing is all worn as cotton? So this looks like it's cotton under a microscope.
Mhm.
Um, like that picture's not good enough for that kind of zoom. It stinks when you have all different kinds of fonts and things on something. How
Well,
long?
yeah, and she made these quilts like just over 20, like 22 years ago. Um, I wonder like some of these questions, like what, as far as what people wearing cotton clothing, I wonder how much that's changed
Mm,
since the time she made this quilt. I mean,
mm-hmm,
that's like another aspect of some of these questions she's asking because they've changed.
mm-hmm. How long are cotton fibers? What is the most prized cotton grown? I'm sure at
See,
some point in time, if not still, there were competitions.
well, sea isle cotton, apparently the seed slides out easily.
Oh, really?
Hmm. Yeah, some of the research I did with cotton
Can
gins,
you
like
can you now can you buy that kind of cotton? Like
um
um unprocessed like you got the other kind of cotton for your project?
I don't know. I'd have to look and see. I would assume somebody, I mean, if it's worth spinning, like if it's a good cotton for spinning, I assume
Hmm.
somebody sells it, but I don't know.
Hmm.
I'd have to dive down into that.
Oh, I did get another little close up. Let's see if I can get closer on some of that. Oh yeah, that one looks better. Blending reverse. The blending reverse is a type of controlled hopper. I don't know what that means.
A hopper? A hopper is a thing that like dumps stuff into other place. And if it's
What
controlled,
a very like sophisticated word for dump from this place to that place.
well, but it's a controlled dumping. It's not just like dump truck. It's, funneling it down. That's a hopper.
A controlled dumping. Let's not put you on the committee to describe the machinery. Like, thank God you weren't narrating how it's made.
But wouldn't it be more interesting and make much more sense?
Just saying, just saying. Oh, and I did get, oh, maybe I can get, is that picture better to zoom on that cotton? Oh, it is. Okay.
Jill can't
Different.
get enough questions from the quilt. She must introduce her own.
Different. Is that Stapley? Stapley?
Staples?
Oh,
Staples.
Staples. It almost looked like Stapley. So I'm not entirely sure like what we're looking at here. Do you know
So
what
the staple is how long the cotton is. But like each strand, like each little strand or
so
filament
these are
is,
all
yeah.
different kinds of cotton?
Yeah, that's what I would assume is. I mean, I get it's really
Common,
hard to see, but
yeah.
the writing. But yeah, so like Egyptian cotton is probably down there at the bottom somewhere or whatever the name of Egyptian cotton is. It's the very long staple cotton.
There you go, right here, Egyptian.
Hmm. Yeah. So that if you take Egyptian cotton, which like is only grown, I guess, in Egypt, I don't know. Like, does it grow anywhere else? I really don't know. But you get something that's that long staple cotton. It makes like a very, very fine thread. The longer the staple is, the finer the
Mm-hmm.
thread can be.
Mm-hmm.
And then you pack it in there and get like 600 threads to the inch. And then that's where you get those Egyptian cotton sheets as being like the ultimate in
Gotcha.
luxury. Yeah. It's
Mm.
because they can make the threads just microscopic.
So then I guess, well, I guess based on this, Egyptian cotton is second to the Sea Island
Ah, there we go. The
cotton.
Sea Isle cotton. Yep,
Hmm.
that's it. I
There.
didn't realize it was a very long staple cotton. I mean, that's at the bottom, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the more you know, the more you know. And then there's just some extra little machine pictures here that were on the outside wall that I took. So if
Oh boy.
quilted cotton weighs an average of 4 ounces a yard, and a bale of cotton is 450 pounds on average, then a bale of cotton would be translated into about 1,920 yards of fabric by weight. Well, I'm just gonna believe you because I'm
Okay.
not
All
doing
right.
that kind of math.
Okay,
Uh,
Professor Holmes.
yeah, like that kind of like this reads like one of the questions in school for math that's like, how many pancakes can fit on the roof if you're wearing orange pants? And the answer is 30 because aliens don't wear open-toed shoes. Like that's how that reads to my brain.
I've missed you, Sherlock. I've really missed you. Because you can out nerd us. You can get down there into the granular
Well,
stuff, and
I
I
mean,
love
you know
that
what?
so
It's
much.
always helpful when the nerds are over there on the Googler while we're doing stuff. Nerdy comes in all forms, ladies.
I'm not out there stealing art. Hey, I didn't get caught stealing anything from an art museum. I was at a history museum. Oh my goodness. Yes,
Yeah.
unnecessary math for fun. Exactly.
I mean, this is one of those moments though where I will admire a fellow nerd for the unnecessary math. I will never be coming at you with unnecessary math because my
Yeah, me
brain
neither.
just can't. So
That's kind of my rule. No, Jill, I'm not going to do any kind of streams with you if there's math involved.
So here, they're highlighting the fight about the sewing machine patent. If no one's really read any history about Isaac Singer, there is a book out there. I think it's called Isaac Singer, that I have been in the process of reading. It's just taking a long time. The book is very dry, but it's very interesting, kind of the history here, and it really outlines and just like FYI, like Singer like wasn't like a very good person. But the fight here against Elias Howe, because a lot of people think that Singer is the inventor of the machine and he's really not, is very interesting. So just pause right here if you want to read this. Due to time, I'm not going to read all that for you guys. But if you didn't know, it is a very interesting story. What are you laughing at?
So Carolyn says, okay, but we do recreational geometry though, which we do. And Myra Dim says it was either this or thieving artwork, and this doesn't involve incarceration, so it's an easy choice. You'll do math to avoid going to jail. All right.
I don't know that I would do math to avoid going to jail. Do I go to jail if I get the answer wrong? Like, then we have, look
Oh
at
my
this stuff.
goodness.
We've got the queen quilting frame up here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so that was interesting because recently And like, look, you got pictures of her on here. You got this old style here and new style. Like those are actual real photos. Like our
My question with the old styles, how do you get to the middle?
they keep it's my understanding they keep
Does it keep
moving the quilt.
moving the
Yeah, they
okay.
keep moving the
Okay.
quilt.
That's what I thought, but yeah.
They suspend someone from the ceiling and then you have someone underneath.
Mission Impossible style.
Yeah, like, and then there's red lasers everywhere, so they can't touch anything, or spikes come out from the ceiling. Just yeah,
And it's only $5. It's
only
a bargain.
$5. Yeah, these are. Here's another
That is interesting.
the Grover
I
and
have
Bailey.
I don't know if I've seen that specifically, but I have seen pictures of these old ones, and it's like it doesn't even look like a sewing machine. It's just
It
looks
is.
like a
You
piece of
know what?
art.
It kind of looks like It reminds me of the arm and the needle there for like an old record player. Um.
Hmm.
Yeah, Maradim agrees that you roll the quilts here. And then this, I have seen this sewing machine in person before. It's very,
Oh,
at the time, I feel like it almost would have looked semi futuristic because of its like
it looks like
block design.
something from shop class.
Well, it does to you now. My aunt gave
Oh,
me a detailed description before she passed about handmade quilt frames. Oh, that's
homemade
cool.
quilt frames. Yeah, cool.
Hmm. Yeah, and then that is the end of that exhibit.
Well, that was a very cool exhibit. I'm very glad that you were able to get pictures and show those because I like Daphne's work and I'm gonna try to do more searching of her. It seems like I said, it seems like she's not on social media, but
Well, like
um
like I said, those quilts are in the permanent collection. So if you ever wanted to look at them and more closely to like study or whatever, that you can be able to do that at the museum. So, but I will
yeah.
try to at least at the bare minimum get a couple of more detailed things, especially of that one block that had all those other writings on it and things.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how much like the lighting is affecting how heavy some of that
Yeah.
writing
Yeah.
work
Because
is.
if the text is like, I mean, it's when you write on fabric, it's a little grainy anyway. So
But I do know that our friends on a couple of the vintage and antique quilt groups on Facebook are like super stealth at reading handwriting that's like gone from signature quilts and stuff. So maybe if I post in there, like they can help us
yeah. Well,
with
what you can do with pictures is change
the
the
exposure.
exposure on it or the balance. But yeah, some of the eagle eye people, I'm like, really? Is that really what that sounds like? I'm terrible at that. So
Yeah. Well, we've gone over tonight because
yeah.
we were looking at so much cool stuff. But this, I mean, I guess it's fair because we won't be around and you'll miss us and we'll miss you and we won't be here to chat. We will, you can talk to us via
Aw.
social media. Oh, Maradim, I needed the nerd fix
Thanks,
too. If
Martin.
you only knew, it's been a rough few days for me.
Oh yeah, it has. I think both of us have had a time of it. At least my thing is not that big of
Yeah,
a deal, but
Stephanie and I have both had like some really ridiculous drama in our lives the past few days, not related at all. Um, can you imagine
aw,
if I
thanks,
got on here
Carolyn.
and it'd been like we had a huge fight, but we
No,
didn't.
I just thought it was funny when you texted me and you were like, "Oh, this life sucks." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I know. What's your thing?"
Well, and today I had texted someone else some last minute things that had come up that just wasn't planning on, and I had texted someone else and been like, I think I am just going to lay down and pass away because I've just thank you, goodbye. Like I've just had enough. So I needed the extra fix too. Thank you so much for the nerd friends time. That was
Yeah.
delightful. And I'm glad that we just planned kind of a little free night where we looked at something else. Be on the lookout because we plan on having more of those coming up. Not necessarily always back-to-back books all the time. Like, looking at
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
stuff.
It is fun.
So
It's fun to look at stuff.
It is fun to look at stuff. There is one, I mean, be on the lookout because we will be looking at some point here at the Electric Needle, which is an exhibit at the museum that Pam Weeks and Anita Lascalzo, who is the previous curator of the museum, they have co-curated a very interesting exhibit spanning quilting for like 100
Oh, cool.
years. It's very cool. So
Oh, I look forward to that.
yeah, so everybody watch the social medias for things that we might post from seminar. We are going to capture all kinds of things for you, and then make sure that you're watching on the second, and I think what's the other day? The other day is the
I don't have it in
2nd
front of
and the
me.
6th are the days that we'll have videos that release at 2 p.m. Eastern on the YouTube channel. And be sure to like those videos and be in the comments, and we'll come in there and answer questions and things like that. And we're gonna go have so much fun. If you're ever thinking of coming, next year's Portland, Maine. And it'll be in October, so it'll be beautiful. So
Yeah, I have been to Maine in the fall, and it is beautiful.
and Portland is a very cool place to be. All right. Well, I guess it's time to get ready for bed.
Yeah, you had a nap today. I did not, so.
I didn't have a nap. I had coffee. Well, everybody, thank you so much for looking at stuff with us. We had fun. And make sure, please, to go back and look again and pause things so that you can take a more in-depth look at stuff than what we were looking at. I will dust off my vicarious living suitcase while y'all have fun.
Aw, thanks, Martim.
We
Thanks,
will have,
Carolyn.
yeah, we will have stuff. It'll feel like you were there.
Yeah, thanks, Marilyn. Yeah. We'll have all the stuff to show you guys, and yeah, you could live vicariously, and hopefully we'll see you at one of those events in the future.
Yeah. All right, Steph. I'm ready to go to bed.
Yeah, I think I'm ready to.
All right. Nighty night, everybody.